Hello there. When people like Jordan Petersen, Dan Wootton, Andre Walker and Alex Phillips are all talking about a UK societal breakdown, then we all need to sit up and listen. And the focus of their discussions is the apparent Keir Starmer and Yvette Cooper-led UK establishment assault on the well-being of one Tommy Robinson, who has now spent 127 days in solitary confinement. And what appears to be an almost open establishment desire to see harm, the ultimate harm, befall him. One of the leading lights in pointing out the obvious problems our society is suffering from. Problems the establishment wants swept under the carpet and firmly nailed under the floorboards. How else can you explain someone, Tommy, being subjected to the tortuous ordeal of 9 months solitary confinement, or segregation as they call it, for the civil offence of contempt of court, unless you intend to do him serious psychological and or physical harm? And the establishment fear what to do once Tommy is released from prison and potentially gels a huge following of support behind him. Starmer is running out of time and options on what to do with Tommy. And Andre Walker is claiming that because the state has failed to so far mentally break Tommy, there is now a plot to move Tommy from the Cat B Woodhill prison back to the Cat A Belmarsh prison as part of the increasing pressure on him of this punishment process. However, I will remind viewers that Tommy is due before the Westminster Magistrates Court on the 20th and 21st of March, just over 2 weeks away, to face charges under Schedule 7 of the Terrorism Act 2000 for failing to divulge the PIN number to his mobile device last year when he was in the port area of Dover. Tommy says as a journalist with Urban Scoop, he should not have been asked to hand the PIN over in the first place. But if he is found guilty of that offence and sentenced to more time inside, that will turn him into a criminal found guilty of a terrorism offence. And as I understand it, he will then cease to be a civil prisoner while the criminal sentence is in force. They can then do as they will with him, like moving him from a Cat B prison into a more secure Cat A prison, for example. Just pointing out the possibility. But the crucial question I'll ask as I bring Richard in is what would happen in the country should anything befall Tommy while he is in the custody of His Majesty? So what do you think, Richard?
Jeff, these are very scary times indeed. That's all I can say. As you pointed out earlier, Jordan Petersen, Alex Phillips, to name but a few, Dan Wootton, of course, are all there pointing out the glaringly obvious and repeating what we're all sensing. And that is that this country cannot take much more. And Tommy Robinson is potentially the flashpoint that could result in societal cohesion breaking down. That's what we all fear. Okay, so if that was to come about, I think all bets are off. Who was it that said that we could see fighting potentially on the street? Was it Alex Phillips? We could see factions against factions. Horrible things to talk about. None of us want to speak about these things. Yeah. But this is somebody who is very dear to many people in this country, somebody who has highlighted the incredible injustices that are taking place throughout this land. And he is now an international phenomenon, Tommy Robinson is. So I'm afraid to say it is looking like they want him dead. It is. There's no other way of looking at it. It looks like the establishment want Tommy Robinson to disappear. And that is hideous, because you're talking about a man, somebody who you have met. I have mutual friends, good mutual friends with Tommy, who love him to bits. And a lot of people watching this now will love Tommy Robinson. If anything should befall him, I fear that we are at that point now. look, we know that they've taken away his ability to communicate even with his own children, with his ex-wife, and to have friends visit him. And now they're taking away his luxury, which is basically his tin food, which is the only thing he can practically eat because he's, terrified of what might happen if he eats the prison food, considering who's preparing this prison food. So, yeah, these are awful times. And we just hope that this man is okay, that he's going to remain okay. And not just for his sake and for his family's sake, which is very much in the forefront of everybody's minds right now, but also for the sake of societal cohesion. So I ask now, I'm serious now, I'm asking Keir Starmer and everybody who's been involved with his incarceration, please reconsider what you have done. Please. And think carefully as you move ahead, because this could turn nasty, and I'm very frightened of that. Before anybody says, "Oh, you're inciting anything," we're not inciting. We're asking. We're trying to avoid these terrible outcomes, because you just have to read the social media comments. You just have to read the comments in the newspapers. People are at boiling point. They've had enough. They can see the injustices. They can see what's going on. They can see what Tommy has warned us of, and he, to them, is like a point of light in this darkness that we're in. Jeff.
Yes, one of the things that really does sort of concern me is that he's had some of his contact with family and friends curtailed in one way or another. Visits have been managed downwards somehow or other. I mean, I was meant to go and visit him twice now. Hasn't happened. I've got another date in the future, which I'm not going to talk about now, but as it approaches, I just hope that I can just get in to see him and give him a bit of friendly support, which is the main thing. But more than anything else, in fact, that is the main thing. But there are other people who have been trying to help him, like Lord Pearson. He wrote a letter. Now, if I can put up the reply he had from the governor, and I'll just add it. I'm not sure if it's going to be too big for people to actually read it all. There you go. So he got a reply from the prison governor about how Tommy was being treated. And when I looked at it, I thought this is a sort of information that you can get off their website. It doesn't give any more information about what's going on. And this guy's a lord. He's in Parliament, so you'd have thought they'd have given him a bit more deference than just giving him the usual runaround letter. But that's just me. Maybe I'm wrong there. But the other thing, as I said, he's also due to go to Westminster Magistrates Court. And that's on the 20th and 21st. And this is going to be a bit of a test across the board, because he's going to be, as I understand it, talking about being a journalist and not being therefore required to do these things. If they rule against him, it's going to affect a lot of journalists and people who claim to be journalists when they try the same defence. So it'll be interesting to see how this pans out in the terms of free speech. It really will. But that's the thing. So I'm really worried about the guy and his contact with family. He's had his phone cut off from his 15-year-old. In fact, I gather that's why his food was stopped, because he was talking to someone on the phone, and his 15-year-old son, who he's not allowed to speak to on the phone, was there in the same room and just said hello over the speakerphone or something. Bang, end, And I find that a bit draconian. But as I understand it, Elon Musk-funded lawyers are working hard in the background to try and better his chances. And maybe that's another reason for them to move prisons, just muddy the waters a bit more. I don't know. And Reform UK MP Rupert Lowe, if I remember rightly, put in a Freedom of Info request asking how many civil prisoners there were in Woodhill. And I gather the response he got, and I think he put it up on X, that there were so few it would lead to the identity of those prisoners or prisoner being easily disclosed. And that's a bit of a get-out clause, isn't it? Because we all suspect that there is only one person there as a civil prisoner, and we all know his name. And we all know he's a political prisoner as well. Going back to what I said at the start, this is what they do in those horrible countries around the world when they lock people up, don't allow them visitors, and gradually try to crush them. That's what they do there. So, yeah, I do fear for him. But yes.
Well, that's the point, Jeff. A lot of people are feeling very, very worried about Tommy right now. We've had some different feedback from people coming to see him. Some people saying he's doing okay on certain days, and other people saying, no, he's not. And at the end of the day, we just want the man to be all right. And the thing is, he's got such an international following. I mean, look at his Twitter following, his following on X. It's huge.
Yeah.
This is an incredibly influential person.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything did happen, what does Starmer think the outcome will be? How is he wargaming this? How is he pricing the death of Tommy Robinson potentially into the situation? I hate even saying something like that. And it's awful that that these conversations have been held. But look, they're trying to drag this man down as low as they can get him.
Yeah.
Now, I do believe and I do believe that from what I can gather, that he has said that if anything does happen to him, it won't be at his own hand. Okay? He has made that very clear. So if anything were to, they might try and make it out to look as if... The thing is, we're talking very conspiratorial here, and it all sounds very paranoid. But when you're seeing the way this man is being treated, what other conclusions are you to draw? How else are you meant to view this? How does Starmer think everybody's looking at this?
Yeah, it's all sort of part of the two-tier system, isn't it, really? And it's not just him. There are all the other people that were locked up last year and into this year for things. Now, I don't know whether everybody's seen it. There's a Daily Mail report that I saw yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yes. About an event that took place in Manchester, I think it is, a region of Manchester, last Tuesday, that's only just come out. As far as I can see, it's not been reported elsewhere, where there was two social services went to get a couple of children out of a house because they thought they were at risk. And they had two policemen with them, as you do, because there could be a bit of a kick-off by some people. The trouble is, 15 blokes came hammering down the stairs at them, and blokes came out from houses around them, and it turned into quite a large event, which last year would have been called a riot. But as far as I'm aware, some people got arrested, got let straight out on bail.
Yeah.
So, and these people, you'd have to go on to that particular report in the Daily Mail so you can see who and where they originated from and all the rest of it there. I'm not going to say any more on that, but it's, and it just points out once again that it's one rule for newcomers and one rule for the people whose families have grown up here for decades and hundreds of years.
Well, yes. And I just had a chat, but before we spoke earlier, Jeff, he came in the house and he was doing like an energy survey, and I got chatting to him, and he made mention of the fact that he goes to see a lot of elderly people, to do energy surveys to see if they're eligible for getting sort of like grants, etc. And he said that the other day he was with an old lady and she was in such a state, wrapped in blankets. He got emotional. I was getting emotional. He was telling me this as well. It's incredibly sad, that she was just there shivering. She couldn't move. Okay. And yet there are people in this country who have just arrived, who are given 5-star hotels, every luxury you could imagine. And we are leaving our elder. You see, these are the points. These are the points that people are starting to get beyond angry about. People are getting. I'm just talking to a guy downstairs in my own house, and he's telling me about how frustrated he is at the situation in this country. We're all feeling it. Everyone is feeling it, and we just got to hope that. In some ways, we just got to hope that this government fails of its own accord and it just collapses. That's the best outcome, I think.
Yeah.
That is really the best outcome for us. And that might be quite
Yes.
unpleasant, a thing to go through. And then at least
Yes.
we can have a democratic process which will allow somebody else to take over, somebody who does have the best interest of the people of this country at heart.
Yeah. As Julie Gwilliam says, the world is watching. Shame on the British government. The world is watching, and especially people like Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Whatever you think of them, they're watching, and J.D. Vance, for me, when he came across and gave that speech at the Munich Security Conference, summed it up to a T. Absolutely, talking about that we have more problems inside Europe, and that includes the UK, than we do from outside. And I think he hit the nail on the head for me. Someone just talked about the pledge. In fact, I've seen about 3 or 4 comments on what's happening about the pledge. 2 of the main players in the pledge have actually been ill, and one's had a bereavement as well. So, but the pledge group, as far as I understand it, will soon be moving on again and trying to form local groups, as someone asked in the comments section. So yes, there is movement on that, but Christmas got in the way a bit, and then, as I say, a bit of illness, but things are now looking up. So let's hope that the pledge will go and get even stronger. I don't even know what numbers are. I mean, the numbers were approaching 100,000 subscribers ages ago, so I don't know where it's gone from there at the moment, but we will see.
Yes, there's lots of things that can be done to try and make things better in this country. Get active politically, leading up to the May elections. That's the one thing I'll ask for people to do. I was watching Paul Thorpe last night, and great live stream he did from Spain. God bless you, Paul. And in it, he said, "Look, there's only one game in town politically. And we all know what party that is. The only one that can get us out of this mess, potentially, or at least get elected. Other than the Tories and Labour. And regardless of any personal preferences that I have in terms of a political party I'd like to vote for, there's only one. I'm not going to go on about it anyway, because we've been over this ground too many times, Jeff.
Yeah.
But we just hope there is a democratic way out of this, because the more conversations I have with ordinary people every day, it's just like it's almost as if the boiling point was reduced after last summer, because everyone was frightened to speak out on social media initially. But it's still there. It's still there. That anger is still simmering away in the background of what's happening to this country. People, everyone I'm speaking to is thinking, "Oh, how can I get out of this country? I can't." And then they feel guilty for wanting to. It's like abandoning Britain, abandoning England, and abandoning Wales, and they feel great amount of guilt to it. But then at the same time, if you've got young kids especially, what, do you want to bring them up in Britain right now, in this Britain? Unless something changes pretty damn fast, and I mean pretty damn fast, there's nothing worth saving here otherwise. Something has to change soon. And in the next 4 years, something has got to change.
Yeah. No, we are in a very difficult position. And I loved it when Keir Starmer appeared on telly the other day, just after the Trump Zelensky spat, if you remember that. And he sort of, when did they have that meeting? Was it Saturday or Sunday? I can't remember, in London. And they were talking that Europe is at a turning point. We are waking up. And I thought, no, you're not waking up at all. What you're doing is you're pointing at a country far away and saying, we need to sort that problem out. But what you're not doing is sorting out the problems in each of the European countries. And as I said, I did a video on it, and I said, here we have the EU Commission President, Ursula von der Leyen, saying we need to turn the Ukraine into a steel-spiked porcupine to stop it being invaded. And I thought, no, what I want is our government in the UK to turn the UK into a steel-spined porcupine so no one can get us. Once we've got that sorted, once we've done that, then we can cast our view elsewhere. But at the moment, if we go around the world trying to change everything out there, we're leaving ourselves exposed. And that is stupid. Mr. Starmer, that is stupid. But there you go. That's my thoughts.
Well, funny enough, on one of the reasons you haven't seen me quite a bit recently, I've been very busy in the background working on our other channel, our new channel. Again, another one. It's called Tripe and Whatnot. Okay, so Tripe and Whatnot. Community post maybe later. I'll put something in the descriptions box later, Jeff, if you can.
No, it's already, the link is already in there.
Oh, okay, if you can go to Tripe and Whatnot, links in the descriptions box of this video. And yes, we talk a little bit more on some sort of more international themes over there, and been building that quite nicely. But we, by the way, yes, I will be back to do some live streams with Jeff, if not daily, then quite regularly. But we want to concentrate on sort of giving things in a broader, rounded sort of sense and giving more value for your money. Yeah. So you get the best of Jeff here, and I come in and do a bit of gobbiness as well. And then over on the other channel, on Tripe and Whatnot, you get more thoughtful things from myself as well. There we go. Anyway, Jeff, over to you.
Since when?
All right.
No, the Tripe and Whatnot is, as Richard says, the more international. It's one of the vagaries of YouTube that when you start a channel like this, especially with the new algorithm, it likes to push you down into a little tube of thought. So if we talk about Keir Starmer, for example, we are the Keir Starmer channel all of a sudden. And it's very difficult to talk about other things because the algorithm doesn't like to farm other stuff out, because why would it farm Trump stuff out if you're the Keir Starmer channel? So we thought we'd start a more American type based channel and see if we can get that message out using a different channel. So I mean, that's
all the exciting stuff's going on, I have to say, is in America. Yeah. All the positive things that we want to talk about are happening, but they're happening in America. This country right now is incredibly, incredibly depressed. Again, that chap I spoke to, he said, until Keir Starmer came into government, he said he'd never felt ever in his life frightened in his own country and fearful for the future. I mean, this is a young man speaking to me. I mean, my goodness. How many others are feeling and thinking the same thing? It's awful. Anyway, there was a super chat there, Jeff.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that one. Thank you for putting that. Yardy123. Thank you very much. May the Lord bless and protect Tommy in the name of Jesus. Yeah. Thank you very much. And
absolutely.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's absolutely spot on. So, Jeff, I think we've covered everything we had to say. Let's go through a few of the comments here first, though, before we go. I think what was that? Starmer is frightened. So this is by My Voice and Life. I haven't got my glasses on me. Anyway, Starmer is right to be fearful of the people he is betraying. Well, we don't wish any ill on Starmer in terms of a physical intervention, but I am reminded of, again, what Dan Wootton said some time ago. I've made mention of it a few times. And that is, he said that he spoke to somebody who was a top Tory donor who told him, I think I'm getting this right, that Starmer would be the first prime minister in history of the United Kingdom to be airlifted out of 10 Downing Street for his own safety. And that's the way this is going. I mean, good grief, how much can you expect the people to take? You can't just do what you want without expecting some backlash at some point if you push too far. Not that I'm encouraging it or want it, but you just read the room, read the comments, read what people say. I don't mean here. I don't mean you lot commenting on here, but I'm just in general, right across social media. Yeah. People are angry. And yes, you lot are angry as well, like I'm reading as well. So, yeah.
It's quite funny when I go on the Telegraph and the Times and even the FT, sometimes the some of the anger does come through, although less so in places like the FT and the Times because they're more left-leaning. But the Telegraph comment sections are absolutely chockers with people getting very worried about where this country's going. And so things aren't looking good.
Well, who'd have thought it, Jeff? If we were to go, say, back 20 years ago, if you could describe the Britain of today to somebody who was in Britain 20 years ago, they'd laugh at you. They would actually laugh.
Yep.
I'd probably, I've known you for a long time, Jeff, and you've known me for a long time. And even though we've had some quite interesting conversations over the years, 20 years ago, I don't think either of us would have been prepared for what we are seeing unfold today. There's just or not to the extent anyway. I remember you saying that years ago you foresaw some things in a military meeting once, and yes, and you were right.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to be right in these circumstances, but yeah. Anyway, lunch is calling me, so it's been really great to talk to everybody.
Thinking with his stomach again.
Thinking with my stomach, absolutely. I must be fed.
All right. Well,
so
Jeff,
really nice
you're coming back, I believe. Later on, are you doing another video later on this evening?
I'm not sure. Looking at the time, we had some technical difficulties this morning, ladies and gentlemen. So we're a little bit behind time.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll be definitely putting up a video later on the Tripe and What's Not channel. Which some of you may find interesting if you have more interest in the international scene. So, a bit of a different perspective. Anyway, thank you, Jeff. Over to you.
Well, thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. And all I'll say is it's good afternoon from me.
And it's good afternoon from him. Good afternoon.
Bye, everyone.